So this is the carbonate lab. You're going to need the following. You're going to need a burette, a burette clamp, and ring stand. A couple of Erlenmeyer flasks, 250 mils, a funnel, a waste beaker, graduated cylinder, 100 milliliters, a balance, then the chemicals, 0.1 molar hydrochloric acid, 0.1 molar sodium hydroxide, potassium hydrogen phthalate or KHP, some carbonate, unknown, some phenolphthalein, and some DI water. The first step is to condition the burette. You need to set it up first. You're going to take the burette clamp and put it onto the ring stand using the little wing nut. Take it about halfway down. And then you're going to take the burette and have it with the valve part down. It's called a stopcock. It goes down. And make sure it's closed. It's going to be perpendicular to the tube. Make sure it's also secure so it doesn't fall out. And a waste beaker for good. Now we need to condition the burette. First thing we're going to do is make sure that it is closed. And always rinse it out first. So add a little DI water, about 15-20 mils. Drain it through the tip. And then once you finish draining it through the tip, you're going to tilt the burette over and kind of swirl it to allow the water to touch all the sides of the burette. You want to do this at the beginning and at the end to make sure it's clean. Now we need to add our sodium hydroxide. So we'll add a little bit, about 10 to 15 milliliters of our sodium hydroxide, our burette. And just like the last one, drain it through the tip. And then take it out and gently swirl it along the sides. This is going to take any of those residual drops of water and make sure the solution that is in the burette is going to be absolutely concentration of the sodium hydroxide, approximately 1 molar sodium hydroxide. Now we're going to fill it up to above the 0 mark and then drain some down, drain some out until it gets below the 0 milliliter mark. You don't want to be on the 0 mark. You want to be on something you can actually read the volume of. By taking a little below, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at it. There we go. We're at about 0.15 milliliters. First step is to standardize your base. You're going to take some KHP, somewhere between 0.7 and 0.75 grams of KHP, and put it into an Erlenmeyer flask. You're going to then add DI water, approximately 50 mils. It doesn't really matter how much, but enough to make sure that it dissolves. I'm going to use the markings on the Erlenmeyer. And then you just swirl. Swirl the Erlenmeyer flask until all of the KHP has dissolved. It might take a while. KHP is an acid, but it is a solid, so it might be a little bit difficult to get it to completely dissolve. Next, I want to add some phenolphthalein. That's the indicator to my acid, and it'll be cloudy when it first goes in, and when you swirl it, it will go clear, but it will stay colorless. Phenolphthalein is going to turn pink when it comes in contact with our base. So we're ready to try to titrate this sample. Now this is going to take a while, so we're going to add base. I know that this thing is going to take about 30 milliliters of our base, so we can speed this up a little bit and just open it up full bore. Opening it up, and you can see when it touches the sample, where it touches it turns pink. That's the base coming in contact with the phenolphthalein and turning it pink. But because there's still acid in the flask, it's immediately turning it back to clear and making sure the solution is acidic. The goal here is to add sodium hydroxide in small increments until you have a very, 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 very faint color of pink. Now this is going to take a while. This is something you have to have a lot of patience for. Especially your first time doing titration, this might take an enormous amount of time. But you'll add a little bit, a little squirt, swirl, watch it go away. Add a little bit, swirl, watch it go away. And the quicker it goes away, the further away you are from your endpoint. You see, as I add a little more each time, it sticks around a little bit longer. That tells me that it's a little getting closer to the endpoint, but not very close. I can still add large quantities. So I'm going to keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. And again, this is something you're going to have to be patient on. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Just take your time. You have to add very, very small amounts. Add very, very small amounts to make sure that it has a chance to get pink and then turn clear again. You do not want to add the phenolphthalein. You do not want to add the sodium hydroxide so much that you go past the endpoint, because there's no coming back from that. You got to start all over again. So you're going to slowly sneak up on the endpoint. See, I'm adding a little bit less each time now. Before I was adding a big old squirt. Now I'm just letting a little bit out. Probably about 5-10 drops. And swirling, and it sticks around a while, which means I'm getting closer and closer to the endpoint. You'll see in a second what I'll do is I'll start to add like maybe 2 or 3 drops. Notice how little hits the solution. Drip, drip, drip. There's 2 drops. And I'm going to keep adding 2 drops until it sticks around too long. And then I'm going to add 1 drop. 1 drop at a time until it stays a very, very, very faint pink. Again, can't say this enough. Patience, patience, patience. It does take some time. Don't rush it. If you rush it, you're going to go past the endpoint, and then you're going to need to start all over again. So please do not rush this. Okay, we're getting very close to the endpoint here. Yeah, oh, that stuck around for a while. Drop. Well, there's 2. Ooh. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. That's the endpoint. Very, very faint. Now the next step is to go ahead and analyze our carbonate. So you're going to take approximately 0.3 grams of your unknown carbonate, already weighted here, and you're going to add that to a clean, dry Erlenmeyer flask. Make sure you get all of it off that whey paper. Then you're going to add 100 milliliters of 0.1 molar hydrochloric acid to that sample. And it's going to begin to react. It might fizz a little bit. You might be able to see the fizz, but you're going to see it react. And you're going to swirl and try to swirl until it becomes clear, or pretty close to clear. So I just kept swirling at it until it became pretty clear and colorless. So I had all the carbonate react with my acid. Now it's time to titrate. So when I titrate, first thing I do is I add my phenolphthalein. Same thing as before. Add a squirt of my phenolphthalein to my sample. So now I can tell, because it's clear, that this sample with the acid has an excess of acid because it stayed clear. Time for me to try to titrate the excess acid in a back titration. So I'm going to take my burette, my Erlenmeyer flask, put it underneath my burette, put a piece of white paper underneath it so I can see better the endpoint, and then add my base. Now again, like before, the base is going to stick around for a while. It's going to stick around for a very, very small amount of time initially. As it sticks around further, you're going to go ahead and be able to slow that down. I went ahead, I'm going to zoom in here for a second, get really a good close picture. There it is. And I'm going to add a little bit of time. This real time probably took about 3 minutes to do. So in order to save a little bit of headache, I'm going to speed this up in a second. You swirl, you can see I'm letting it out full, and it's barely sticking around, so I know I'm very, very far away from the endpoint. There was a lot of excess hydrochloric acid in here. So now I'm going to speed it up. There we go. Now we're booking. It takes, this is at 3x speed, so it takes a good amount of time to get that to stay pink. And I'm going to tell you, I used almost an entire burette, started out about 0.2, and finally I stopped around 49.8 milliliters. It was really, really close to the end, and I had to fill it up again. But this time it may take you more than one burette. Please do not go past the 50 mil mark on your burette. Pay attention to your volume. As it gets close to the bottom, slow down. Do not go past the 50 mil mark. If you do, you're done. You have to start all over again. So for this lab, watch how close you get. If you get close, stop. Make a recording of what your biggest volume was, and fill it back up again. And make a note of where you started. So you're going to have, I had to have 2 separate samples of sodium hydroxide added. It was more than 50 mils I needed. But you can see the number of drops I'm adding here is really small. And you can see me bending over and seeing, because it's really, really low, seeing how close it is to the bottom. Getting close. But I definitely had to add more. Oh, we're back to normal speed for a while. Take a look at it. Oh, it's getting really close. Getting really, really close to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. Make a reading, and then I'm going to fill it back up again and continue. So this is with a fresh burette. I've already added almost a full 50 mils, and now I'm going to add until the pink sticks around. And this may need to speed up a little bit. It does take some time. I think I added another like 5 mils, but I didn't want to go over, so I took my time. A couple drops, swirled, a couple drops, swirled, a couple drops, swirled, and I kept doing this. So here in speed up time, this took almost, I don't know, about 5-6 minutes sped up. So this is a solid 10 minutes of titrating. I've been doing this a long time. I feel very comfortable. For you, first time on Monday, or whenever the day is, it's Monday for the day after I'm doing this recording. Take your time. Slowly add the sodium hydroxide. Very slowly until it sticks around. And when it does, oops, almost stuck around. Add another couple drops, swirl. And it's going to go away. Add another couple drops. Be patient, especially at the end. Don't just rush into it, because if you do, you're going to be kind of out of luck. Nope. We're clear. Try it again. Well, that's barely pink. See if that sticks around. More drops, almost there. Oh, that looks good. I think it's going to work there. And that's your endpoint, maybe. Let's see. It's going to stay. That's good. Now all that's left is to clean up all the glassware. Make sure you rinse everything with tap water and the burette especially with DI water. Good luck on the lab. See ya.